My parents borrowed my car for the weekend to take my golden sister and her kids out. Come Monday, I had a $1,900 towing bill and the police ringing my phone. When I confronted them, I just heard, "You owe me for existing." So, I reported the car stolen while they were still in it. Before I left town, I said one thing clearly. Don't touch my car. Not even as a joke. Not to move it. Not for errands. Not for emergencies, nothing. I was flying out to Chicago for a 4-day work conference. Big deal. Full schedule, networking events, all of it. And I've been planning this trip for months. The night before my flight, I called my mom just to check in and remind her and dad that I'd be out of town and no one was to come by my place or mess with anything, especially not my car. Because the last time I trusted them with a vehicle of mine, I ended up paying $4,300 in repairs for an accident I wasn't even in. Emily had taken my keys to run to the store and rear-end someone while scrolling through her phone. My parents called it a learning experience for her. I called it theft and stupidity. After that, I made it clear my car was off limits permanently. I drive a 2021 black Toyota Highlander. Fully paid off, low mileage, spotless interior. I've babied that car since the day I bought it. And it's not just a car. It's how I travel for work, how I get around Austin, how I stay independent. I don't loan it out, not even to friends. So, I made sure it was locked up in my driveway before I left. Left the keys with my friend Jason down the street just in case something weird happened like a break-in or a storm. Not for anyone to use. Certainly not my family. Fast forward to Monday morning. I'm getting ready for my final conference session. Just about to order coffee when my phone starts buzzing. Unknown number. I ignore it. It rings again and again. I finally answer. This is Officer Barrett with Travis County. Is this April Green? My stomach dropped. Apparently, my car had been towed from a residential street in Galveston for hours away from Austin for obstructing a private driveway. It had been sitting there all weekend parked like someone thought they owned the place. The neighbors had called it in when they couldn't get out for work Monday morning. The officer said the people in the vehicle didn't match the registration, and one of them claimed to be my mother. She told them, "My daughter said we could use it. It's a family car." I nearly dropped the phone. They hit my car. They went into my garage using the code they weren't supposed to have anymore, grabbed the key that Emily had secretly copied months ago, and drove my car to the beach with her kids, her boyfriend, and my golden retriever, who I'd left with them to dog sit for the weekend. No permission, no call, nothing. They even brought coolers and beach chairs. It was a full-blown family vacation. In my car, the bill $1,900 to get it out of the impound lot. The officer said if I didn't confirm they had permission, he'd need to process it as unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, possibly even theft. I didn't hesitate. I said I never gave anyone permission. And if they were still in the car, I wanted it flagged. Immediately 10 minutes later, the officer called back to tell me the vehicle had been located. My parents were driving back toward Austin when they got pulled over on I-10. Everyone was removed from the car. It was taken into police custody. They were stranded with luggage, sand-filled shoes, and 2 screaming kids on the side of the highway. I didn't answer a single one of their calls after that. Not my mom, not my dad, not Emily. They left dozens of messages. Everything from guilt, tripping nonsense to full-blown manipulation. You owe us for everything we've done for you. We raised you and you can't even let us use your car. It's technically our car, too. You're our daughter. I was still in Chicago sipping overpriced hotel coffee, absolutely fuming. They had no idea what was coming next because when I got home, I wasn't just getting my car back. I was taking everything else with me. By the time the police pulled them over, I was already thinking about what I was going to order for dinner that night in Chicago. I wasn't flying back early. I wasn't answering calls. I wasn't rushing to fix anything. They got themselves into that mess, and I was going to let them marinate in it. I knew exactly what they expected. That I'd pick up, yell a little, then calm down. That I'd say something like, "It's fine," and just bring it back in one piece that I'd bend because I always used to. But this time I didn't even flinch. They got stopped on I-10 just outside of Columbus. My Highlander was still full of beach stuff. Folding chairs, half-empty water bottles, melted crayons, dog hair, and sand in every crevice. The cops impounded the car on the spot. My parents, Emily, her kids, and her boyfriend were left standing on the side of the road with all their junk dumped out around them like a yard sale. The kids were crying. My mom was yelling. My dad was trying to argue with the officer about family rights. They had to order a rideshare van to take them back to Austin. That trip cost them over $300, and halfway through my dad's card was declined. Sarah, my cousin who hears everything, told me Emily had to convince her boyfriend to cover it. She said it was the quietest 2-hour ride of their lives. Everyone blaming each other under their breath. Nobody brave enough to call me. And still, my phone lit up over 40 times. Voicemails ranged from guilt trips to straight-up gaslighting. You're being ridiculous. We didn't hurt anyone. You owe us respect. This is what family does. And my personal favorite, we gave you life. And this is how you treat us. Not a single apology, not even a fake one. I landed back in Austin on Wednesday afternoon and went straight to the impound lot. The guy behind the counter looked at me like I was the villain in a soap opera. I signed the papers, paid the $1,900 towing charge, and walked to my car without a word. It didn't even feel like mine anymore. A long scratch ran across the back passenger door. One of the cup holders was sticky with juice. The smell of sunscreen and fast food hit me the moment I opened it, and I noticed a crack on the infotainment screen that definitely hadn't been there before. I drove home, parked it in the garage, locked it twice, and sat in the silence of my kitchen for a long while. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was just done. That evening, I drove to my parents' house without warning them. They were all there: Mom, Dad, Emily, the kids. My dog was lying on the couch like nothing had happened. My mom opened the door with a fake cheerful smile, like I was just there for coffee. She said something along the lines of, "Well, we were wondering when you'd finally come around." My dad laughed and said I was probably over it by now. Emily didn't look up, just kept scrolling on her phone. Then my mom dropped the line that sealed everything. "You owe us, for existing, for everything we've done for you. We're your family." I didn't yell. I didn't even raise my voice. I just said, "You broke into my house, stole my car, put my name on a police report, and now you're standing here acting like I'm the villain." Emily flinched, then muttered that I was overreacting, that I needed to grow up, and that it was just a car. Her boyfriend didn't say a word. He looked like he was regretting every decision that led him into that room. That I didn't stay long. I told them there would be no more favors, no more money, no more help with bills, no more school supplies, vet visits, nothing. I told them they'd shown me exactly how little they respected me, and I wasn't going to reward that. That's when they lost it. My mom shouted that I was abandoning them. My dad threw out lines about family loyalty. Emily rolled her eyes and muttered something about me being dramatic, but it didn't matter anymore. I walked out without another word. That night, I turned off my phone and slept better than I had in months. The silence didn't last. By the next morning, I had voicemails from 3 aunts, a cousin I hadn't spoken to in years, and even the mother of one of Emily's friends, all telling me family is messy but worth it. I hadn't told anyone outside of my immediate family what happened. Clearly, my mom had already started her campaign. She probably spun it beautifully, said I turned on them for borrowing my car, left them stranded, made them pay to get home, and then cut them off financially like some cold-hearted monster. That was always her specialty, painting herself as the victim and me as the ungrateful child who had forgotten her roots. What she didn't say was that they broke into my house, stole a car they weren't insured to drive, dragged the police into it, and left me with $1,900 in fees and a damaged vehicle. So, I told the truth. I started with a group message to a few relatives who had reached out. I laid out exactly what happened. I didn't soften it or leave out details. I even attached the towing receipt and a photo of the dent they caused. I explained that my parents used a copied key, entered my home without permission, and lied to the police when the car got flagged. I also mentioned that this wasn't the first time something like this had happened, only that this time I'd finally reached the point where I wasn't going to let it slide. That's when things began to shift. One of my uncles called to apologize, saying he had no idea how bad it had really gotten. 2 cousins told me they'd had their own uncomfortable experiences with my mom twisting situations. Even my aunt, my mom's older sister, texted me, "Honestly, good for you." The more people heard the actual story, the more the tide turned. Not that it mattered much to me. I wasn't looking for allies. I just wanted the truth out there. Meanwhile, my parents doubled down. They started showing up at my place. First, it was just my mom ringing the bell, pretending she was dropping off snacks she knew I liked. I didn't answer. Then it was both of them standing in the driveway when I came home from work, acting like nothing had ever happened. My dad even said, "Let's just move on. It's a misunderstanding." I told them if they stepped onto my property again, I'd file for a restraining order. That didn't go over well. 2 days later, I got an email from Emily. She accused me of humiliating the family, embarrassing them by getting the police involved, and insisted I knew they hadn't meant any harm. She said I was turning into one of those cold people who value money over family. And then she slipped. She wrote, "You think you're better than us now just because you're not struggling like we are?" That was the exact moment it all clicked. This wasn't about the car. They didn't just feel entitled to borrow it. They felt entitled to everything I had, simply because I worked hard, paid my bills, and kept my life stable. They believed that meant I owed them. And when I stopped handing things out, they didn't see it as a boundary. They saw it as betrayal. So I went further. I called my bank and removed my name from the shared emergency account I had quietly opened for my parents last year. I canceled the recurring Amazon order I'd been paying for that sent Emily's kids' school snacks every month. I called the vet and took myself off the backup contact list for my parents' dog, which I had agreed to cover in emergencies after their last financial mess. I did all of this quietly, without warning, and permanently. Then I sent one final group message. "You lost access to my support the moment you broke into my house, stole my car, and treated me like a bank account instead of a daughter. This is no longer a misunderstanding. This is a boundary." They didn't respond directly, but what followed said enough. For 2 weeks there was silence, which in my family usually meant planning. Then a handwritten letter arrived from my dad. It started like an apology, but by the third paragraph he admitted they had used what was available to cover the towing bill and expenses. He warned I might notice changes in my accounts that I checked online. My main accounts were fine, but an old joint account I'd opened at 19 was drained. Almost $600 gone in small transfers. The bank traced one login to my parents' IP. Since the account was still technically joint, I might never get it back. After stealing my car, they'd been stealing my money too. I stayed quiet. Until the next stunt. Emily showed up at my job, pretending to be my emergency contact. She acted like she just wanted to talk, then claimed my mom had heart problems and I was making it worse. That night I called my mom's doctor. There were no heart issues, only 2 calls from someone pretending to be me. They were trying to manipulate me with a fake illness. That was the breaking point. I hired a lawyer, revoked power of attorney, removed myself from all medical and financial links, and changed every code and contact they had. I thought it was over. 2 weeks later, rumors spread. Emily told people I'd disappeared. My mom called it a spiritual separation. Then my cousin Lauren sent me a barbecue invite. Everyone included except me. Attached was an old family photo I remembered taking. In the new version, I'd been cropped out completely. They weren't just excluding me, they were rewriting the story. Pretending I walked away because I was cold and selfish, not because they broke in, stole from me, lied to police, and faked medical issues. Jason, my neighbor, refused their invite and sent me screenshots instead. A few relatives skipped too. But at the barbecue, when one of Emily's kids asked where I was, my mom simply said, she chose not to be part of us anymore. They tried to replace me with Jason. At the barbecue, my mom introduced him as the one helping them. My dad toasted him, and Emily tagged him in photos instead of me. It was like they erased me. Then my aunt, who never took sides, left me a voicemail apologizing and saying, "They tried to replace you, but everyone can see it's not the same. You were the one holding that family together." Soon after, I found an envelope at my door. A note in my mom's handwriting said, "One last chance to make things right before it's too late." No remorse, no mention of the thefts, lies, or manipulation, just blame. I trashed it and cut all ties. Changed my number, passwords, contacts, even sold the couch they always used to guilt me. For the first time, silence felt like peace. Jason later told me my dad ignored him at the store, though my parents told neighbors they had cut me off because I was difficult. I didn't bother correcting it. Let them rewrite their story. I don't need an audience. The final straw was when their bank called me after my dad triggered a security alert. I asked them to permanently unlink my name from theirs. That's when I realized this wasn't family conflict. It was survival from years of emotional fraud disguised as love that I didn't burn the bridge. They torched it the day they stole from me, lied about my mom's health, and tried to replace me. Now I just keep that bridge in the rearview mirror. I'm not the villain, not the savior. I'm done. And that's enough.